Yeah, this is like a scrub oak. The acorns are in now, you know? It was one of the main 4 survival foods, acorns. There's some curly dock stem right there. So when I see a big thick brush out there, that's what I'm looking for. That's where I'm looking to sleep, because most people, you know, when they see that, they're saying, that's not where I want to sleep at night. It allows me to, you know, stay away from everybody. And just being in reconnaissance in the Marine Corps, this was standard. I mean, we would come out, you know, for, you know, a week or 2 weeks at a time and just, you know, live out in this type of environment. So I kind of grew a comfort with that. For a lot of people that are living in like a homeless type situation, they tend to, you know, sleep in areas that are kind of susceptible to a lot of dangers. Out here, there's really nothing to worry about. Probably, you know, encounter some critters, some little rabbits throughout the night. All is good. Free rent. Don't have to worry about that. Hi, my name is Mike Haynes. I am a combat veteran. I was in the Marine Corps for, let's see, about 8.5 years. I was in Iraq for the invasion, 2003. You know, we pushed in from Kuwait, and then we pushed beyond that, all the way up to Baghdad. And we had a drill instructor that committed suicide in front of the whole platoon. You know, puts an M16 under his chin, and that's when we were like, wow, this is the real deal. I saw things in combat that just changed me as a person, you know? And coming back home and dealing with everyday life was just extremely difficult for me. I did not expose how difficult it was to my family at the time. They had no idea that it was as intense as it was. It's kind of an honor thing that, hey, you know, I can do this. I can take care of myself. I don't need any help. I preferred to get away from the madness and the noise of the buses and the cities and the cars and all that kind of stuff. Just get away from everything. I believe it was 2008, and there was an Earth Day fair here in San Diego at Balboa Park, and I saw the sign that said Veteran Sustainable Agriculture Training, and it just blew me away. I could not believe I saw the words veterans, sustainable, agriculture, all in the same phrase. So I was like, oh, I gotta go check this place out. And that's where it started. That's where I met them.
I'm Karen. Archi play?
I'm Colin, Archi play of Archie's Acres. Karen wanted to go to Tuscany. I wanted to stay in California.
Our friend found us this piece of property, and she said, I think I found you Italy in California, near Camp Pendleton.
Our plot here is on a hillside that has a valley in front of it that opens up all the way to the ocean. So we get a lot of ocean influences, which keeps the climate here very mild. It's very unique. Average day in the summer is usually 80s, low 90s, and wintertime is probably in the 60s and 70s. It's pretty hard to beat.
We're a small-scale organic farm, but we're actually a bio-organic farm, which means that we do bio-hydroponics.
The root system of the plant is suspended in water.
So you can see that there's a very thin line of water that comes through here. That's actually carrying the nutrient to the plants through the root.
We only lose the water that the plant takes up. Through a very small square footage, we can produce a lot. We have about 17 crop turns per year.
Living basil is our signature crop, and so that's what we grow in our greenhouses. This is week 1 for these plants. At the end of 3 weeks, these are ready to harvest. When a consumer takes this home, they'll actually drip this into a dry vase and give it about a tablespoon of water every couple days. The plant will actually continue to grow, so it gives you up to a couple months before you actually need to replace your plant or make pesto.
Hydroponics actually isn't new age, it's just that we're kind of rediscovering it again.
The guys that run Archi's Acres are 2 full-time and 1 part-time. They harvest our kale, our chard, avocados, the basil, tomatoes. And then when the class comes in at 8, that's really where Colin and I concentrate.
Our initial idea with the VSAT program was to work with vets who had post-traumatic stress disorder issues. A lot of that is failure to properly integrate vets into the private sector when they come home, but at the time we just thought this farm could be a great place to give those guys and men and women a moment of pause. So we worked with the VA to have these people here and to enjoy the environment that this provides. Through networking with some great people and connecting with Miracosta Community College and then Cal State and the Education Center at Camp Pendleton, the TAPS program, and then again at Camp Miramar. We reformatted the program into what it is now, and it's been a huge success, and we've been getting better and better at what we do ever since.
We offer a 6-week course, Monday through Friday, 8 to 4, and that course will take you from seed to market.
We converted our barn into a classroom. Part of it's lectures. We usually talk about what we do before we go do it, and then it's also followed up by hands-on. The students are broken into teams where they have their own hydroponic system that they manage on a day-to-day basis.
This is a brewer where we make tea, fertilizing tea for much of the crops on the farm here.
We also incorporate them with our workforce so they actually get hands-on experience doing what our staff does on a day-to-day. At the end of the 6 weeks, not only do you have to take a mandatory irrigation exam to pass the course, but they have to create a business plan. Karen puts together a panel of industry leaders.
And that'll be people that are from HR departments, produce buyers, bankers, private investors, and military people that may be able to give feedback and actually help score that student on their business plan. The student can take that feedback and then incorporate that so when they graduate, they have a viable document that they take with them. We give them the tools that they need to start their business, then we give them the people that will help them to transition out so that they have their medical needs met, they have their living needs met. And that for us, it's just really important to be all-encompassing for that.
After the Army, things just weren't functioning properly. The only real job that I had was the reserve duty. And after that ended, I was struggling. I know I'm capable, but what and how can I take those steps forward? And here I am.
When I came out, I didn't have any real job skills, so this was a good choice for me.
I've seen some pretty ugly medicine over the years, so it was stuff I was dealing with, and that's what brought me the VSATs. You become numb, and this place makes me feel.
You can walk up to someone in the military and speak the same language immediately. That's a nice feeling.
Whether you've been in combat or whether you haven't, if you live that life, if you put your full measure in, you will have to transition.
Transitioning from military environment, whether just coming back from a combat deployment, to the private sector or civilian life is very difficult. Archi's Acres is, I think, at the cutting edge as far as a private entity trying to fix that problem. 300,000 homeless veterans on the street, 18 suicide attempts a day. That's unacceptable.
Don't do music if you want to do music. Do music if you have to do music. Music, like, it cuts right to the core of anyone in the quickest way I know possible. It is the quickest doorway into your deepest emotions, and to be part of that is incredible.
This is Colin when he graduated boot camp, and that was January 3rd, 2003. And that's Colin with his dad and his little sister and his stepmom. And then this is Colin from his first deployment. And so he sent this home, and it was quite the poster. It's a perfect picture. And then this picture is actually in between his second and third deployment. We were already married. That was with his grandmother, who has since passed, and his niece. But that's Colin in his dress blue. Pretty dapper there. Talk about what you're about.
National Defense, Iraq Campaign. These two were Global War on Terrorism medals. Combat Action, Presidential Unit Citation, Sea Surface Deployment. One of the biggest factors for a lot of vets coming back is that they no longer have that mission, the intent that's going to provide a service to the country. They don't have a place anymore, you know what I mean? In the military, you had a place. You knew what you were doing when you got out of bed, you knew what your role was. But out here, you know, you don't know how to connect with anybody. The private sector doesn't value you for the skills you have. So you go from like making life or death decisions and executing missions and millions of dollars worth of responsibilities, and you go into the private sector and you're at $8 an hour on minimum wage, the bottom of the totem pole.
Colin is 1,000% Marine. And he loves this country, he loves the Marines. For him, his brothers and sisters in arms are every bit as much family as I am.
Let's keep this in his barracks room. This is Camp Hornell Memorial. So Marines actually built this memorial, brought all the cross and all this wood up here by hand. You can't get up here by vehicle, you gotta walk. It's tradition that when you come up here with your unit, you bring a white rock. So that's why there's stacks of white rocks up here. It's easy for everybody else to forget these guys, but I want to make sure that all these guys are still remembered. These guys are gone because they were there for their friends who made it back. I made it back because other people paid the price, so I owe it to these guys right here to keep providing a service to the country, to remember them. It's sacred ground right here.
My name is Master Sergeant Ruben Edward Villarreal. I'm from San Antonio, Texas originally. Been in the Marine Corps for 23 years. Being a Marine is a lifetime commitment. That title, it never goes away. Has Colin ever stopped serving? No, he can't. He made a commitment. He's part of a family. You can't let him down. And you have the ability and the resources to help a fellow Marine or a veteran, because we're all part of the same family. That's what your role is.
I grew up in a rural area up in the foothills of Sierra Nevada, so after high school I was looking to get into more of the city life and moved to San Francisco and then LA and then joined the Marine Corps. Coming back, I really liked the idea of not being in the city. When I had the opportunity to dream about home, I had great fantasies of just being on that beautiful piece of property that we own now.
Colin had put so much on the line, 3 different tours. He had given so much for our country, but it wasn't enough for him. So I needed to find a way that we could serve together. I went to an event with a friend of mine, and we had been, you know, at a brainstorming party, and it occurred to me, you know, why couldn't we use where we are? Why couldn't we say, all right, we love farming, we love agriculture. My epiphany was like God throwing me a raft. For Colin, farming was his lifeline. You know, it's what settled him. He could spend all that time out in the grove or in the greenhouse. We were constructing it. He was building a future for himself, and I think that really made a difference. Why couldn't we teach that for returning men or women coming back to transition as their job too, we could really make a difference. And we could do it together. And we could share what we had. And I think that part really appealed to Colin, because there were so many military people that didn't have. And we were lucky enough to have that piece of property, even though it took everything we had to get it. We were lucky. And so why wouldn't we want to share that?
Karen, she's very creative and ideas just come out from everywhere. But I've learned over the years that no matter how radical the idea is, not to put anything past her, because she can make things happen. So when she pitched me the idea at first, I thought, you know, at one hand, it's right up my alley because I want to work with the vets, but the other hand, the little Archi's Acres, are we going to be able to pull this together? So yeah, there's some skepticism there, but at the same time, I knew when Karen's determined she can make things happen, that's something I consider myself to be the same way.
The idea to create a training for people to transition out of the military, it was, I figured, a way that we could actually help other people while helping ourselves. And that was to give Colin his greater mission, his way to take care of his brothers and sisters in arms and still be able to do it from home. We were living on an infantryman's salary.
And as a military family, you just don't make that much money. You don't make enough money to water avocado trees, so we had to figure something else out pretty quick.
A friend of ours called us and said there's going to be people from Washington, D.C. talking about veterans transitioning back, and that's what our program was about.
The farm was still a startup at that point. You know, we were still working on building the cash flow of the farm itself, as well as building this idea of the VSAT program. We were thinking, well, maybe this is our last hope at being able to work with vets. So we made some homemade flyers and business cards and stuff like that. On the stage, there was a panel of, I don't know, 8 people or so, right?
Yeah.
Some from the local VA, some from Washington, D.C.
Best case scenario would be somebody from Washington would say, that's a great idea, we're going to help you do it. That's what I thought. But I live in Rainbow Land sometimes.
Sometimes.
But that's almost what happened, isn't it?
It is what happened, though. They heard it and they liked it.
And he said, you know, the director gets 1 million of these cards a day, and most of them just go by the wayside. But for whatever reason, he passed us your card and said, to make this happen. This is where our relationship with the VA started, more or less.
It is. And it's where VSAT started its roots.
And we were just these 2 nobodies who got the opportunity to work with the VA, and that was a big deal. I knew that. I knew it was a big deal.
So Ray, are you ready for your presentation?
Pretty much. Pretty much. A few last-minute slides to put together.
Oh, here it is. It's under 1.
And I think we're there.
They've been working really hard for 6 weeks, trying to get their business plan up to speed and looking really good and ready for presentation.
Pretty much by week 3 and 4, your brain is about to explode.
I'm presenting on Doc's Urban Organic Farm. You can grow food sustainably on a small scale. It doesn't have to be overpriced.
I'm going to use the background that I have in pharmaceuticals to show studies that correlate the benefits of essential oils.
The panel is evaluating their business plan, critiquing them, providing feedback on everything from appearance and presentation to format, content, feasibility, across the board, financials.
You nervous?
Yes.
I am.
Yeah?
I don't really like speaking in public.
Our 36-month cash flow projections are in the first year of 118, 154K in the second year.
So being a food snob, I want to educate and help people just because it tastes better. And
You know, no matter what your job is in the military, if you're the guy who's the clerk sitting at a desk, or if you're the guy who's pulling the trigger, it's about a greater good. It's about having a mission. It's about serving your country. And I think by creating a small business and employing Americans, that's one way to serve your country.
Hi, my name is Michael Haynes. I'm a Marine Corps veteran, and I came through the class back in January, February.
Forager Mike, I think, was an awesome example of somebody that really found himself.
Mike had huge commitment issues. When we met Mike, he was on the streets for about 2 years. So it was tough to get him out here to take this 6-week class, 40 hours a week.
He, every day, would tell us why he wasn't going to do it. And then we would, instead of saying you have to do it, we would just say, well, this is what you're going to miss the next day, and he would come that next day.
At the end of it, not only do you have a great business plan, not only did he have an investor investing in his business, but I think he feels like a new man. I think he found a way that he can stay connected to the military community. He can help vets that were in a similar situation. He could be a role model as well.
My name is Dwight Detter, and I'm the local forager with Whole Foods Market in the Southern Pacific region. I've been with Whole Foods Market for about going on 13 years. What I do is I go out and look for new people and new products to bring to the stores to sell. I was a veteran back during the Vietnam War era and hadn't really thought about service and being a veteran until I came up here to the farm and started to take part in the program. So now it's, how can I help you? How can I make this program grow? This is exciting. What you're doing is stupendous work, and I need to be a part of it.
Karen, I don't know, she knows everybody in the right places, you know. Didn't she track you down? Beat you down over the head with the hot sauce?
It was funny. It was at our regional vision day, and they were talking, and I started getting some texts from her.
Okay.
Hi, we need to meet. I'm Karen.It from Archi's Acres, and I've got some hot sauce for you, and you're the guy to talk to.
I didn't really understand at the time the interactions of business and how things worked, you know. Until I took this course, that's when everything just started happening. Source Organics is going to be bottling the hot sauce for me. So they're going to be blending all the product, putting it together, and sealing it, putting the label on there, and so pretty much finalizing the product for distribution. I'm really wanting to put the highest integrity foods out there and just do something good in the food area. To me, that's very important because I have a daughter in my life, and I want to be able to put something out there that's positive for her. So I kind of want to surprise her with that. Just take her to the store and be like, hey, let's get a couple bottles of this. And she's going to look on there and, Forager Mike, is that you? I never ever would have dreamed or even thought that, you know, after graduating the class, that things would be just taken off like this.
That's not us, it's him, you know, and he found him here, then that's a very cool thing.
We use a lot of acronyms in the military, right? And I tell people that what Colin and Karen do, it's cool. Collaboration out of love. Colin and Karen are cool. They didn't have to open their farm up to anybody. Could have stayed quiet in Escondido and maintained their solitude, but they didn't.
Archi's Acres is going to be as great as the people that we train and the people that we employ and the people that make up what Archi's Acres is.
The VSAT program, Archi's Acres, Colin, Karen, basically paved the road that I had. I had a rough path. It's kind of like that. You can kind of see a path, but it's not real clear. They made it very clear.
It just reignited a dream I had that I'd kind of given up on. I felt a privilege to go.
Successfully, congratulations.
Thanks a lot.
The people that we work with are the salt of the earth. They're the greatest people on the planet. And when you see those people feel like they have ground underneath their feet again and feel like they have a place to be, what else could be better?